Okay, hello everyone. My name is Hännikäinen, and the presentation what I'm going to go through today is with the topic "The Devil is in the Details." I wanted to give a little bit background of myself, uh, just to give an idea, and then of course there's the disclaimer. So wanted to have that as well there. So before going to my background, of course, thank you, Ossi and Juho, for inviting me here to have the presentation. Hopefully there will be coming some insights to those compromises Henry was referring to, what we need to do as part of our daily work, and then of course the good communication is something essential, what we are trying to do better every day as much as possible. Nevertheless, at the moment, I'm working as CISO in FinTraffic, which controls and manages traffic on land, air, and sea. Before this, I was in Sanoma, which is media and learning company. There, I was also service line manager before CISO position as service line manager, infrastructure security side. And then I've been also in Nixu as information security consultant. And before that, I was in Nokia as security manager the last 5 years of it. And before that, I was actually IT production manager. I've also been living abroad. I was half a year in the Netherlands and 2 years in Singapore. And on that time, I was also given name Heineken because my family name Hännikäinen, they were trying to pronounce it Hännikäinen. So for them, it was easier to call me Heineken. That's a good family name as well, I think. However, opinions and the views I'm expressing here are totally my own and do not express the views or opinions of my existing company, neither the previous ones. Okay, let's go then further. WIO's laws, despite they are over 40 years old, I think this is still a good list and describes well this complex world where we are living. Communication usually fails except by accident. I think this actually is well said by WIO. And the thing is also that, of course, on top of this one, when I'm talking about the complex world, I'm talking about also different kind of roles we do have in a company, and also the jargon we are using there. There is the legal one, and then there is also the IT, management, and information and cybersecurity jargon. And as an example, it's also good to remember that we do have different kind of objectives also sometimes as part of our natural role in for example, in legal. So as an example, when I have been negotiating information security requirements, especially with the lawyers from US, their main goal has been actually to minimize all our information security requirements as much as possible. And then the challenge has been, of course, in the details, talking with the lawyer why certain requirements are important. So there is no sense actually for us to continue the discussion. So I'm always asking the IT or preferably, of course, information and security expert to the negotiations. And when they actually check out the about 11 pages of information security requirements, they just like say that, yeah, this is the basics. Anything else? And then we can move on. So basically, instead of arguing and trying to explain, especially for the lawyers from US who are particular, we're getting these clauses as less as possible. So it's better to have the persons who know what we are talking about there, and then support our own legal in these negotiations. Okay, because of security. The purpose of business is to make profit so that the business can do something more or better. So of course, the purpose is not to do information security or cybersecurity for the sake of the security. You need to be careful also that don't let the others neither to use security as an excuse. I know that sometimes there are cases when someone doesn't actually have time to really focus to the communication, how to communicate that to the leaders or then to the users. So they might be actually just answering or saying that because of security. And I'm not accepting that, because the thing is also that there is always a valid reason why we are saying that something needs to be done. So instead of saying that like because of security, it's because of we are protecting the assets, or we are protecting that the criminals are not attacking us. So we should be at least have at least this kind of a level explanation. Of course, if we are doing a project which requires change management and there are some security elements, of course the communication should be better than that as well. Okay. Nevertheless, the purpose is to take calculated or conscious risks. But how do you then ensure that these kind of decisions are made, first of all, in correct levels? And how do you really ensure that you're communicating clear enough to correct stakeholders? I do have one case example when there is a pressure to save cost. I think this is quite a typical case. And in general, in this case, I focused on this kind of an old outsourcing case. So basically, the goal of outsourcing varies. Suppliers' economies of scale, of course, provides reduced operational cost. And then the supplier skills, expertise, technology, or processes could be actually very useful skill set for you. And then experienced supplier can in the best place also improve your operational performance and service levels. Of course, everything is not going so well always, so even good intentions might also fail. In this case, before signing the agreement, now I do have this ISO 27001 certification here as an example. Yes, the standards are good. And also that if you have certified, it actually tells something about your processes and documentation level, and you should be actually kind of knowing at least what kind of things you should have actually in place. Of course, that's not the only thing what should be done. Nevertheless, when we are talking about status before signing the agreement, you actually don't have much of possibilities to go and audit it yet, the supplier or the suppliers who are there. So the only thing what you can actually do is that, okay, there is this certification and it's actually covering the correct services. So the ones what we are buying here. And then of course you do have some customer references, you are calling them, you are getting feedback, and then everything looks good. Then even pricing is tempting compared to other suppliers there. And and then supplier is also capable of providing the expertise in all required areas. So you have actually met the A group. Their target is, of course, to sell you. And then, of course, if you look at the things from a distance, most anything looks beautiful. Everything is beautiful at this moment. Well, after signing the agreement, ramp-up resources are focusing on quick ramp-up. Of course, there are time limits and there are even objectives for the internal personnel also to get things up and running as soon as possible, because it actually doesn't, it's kind of an investment before it actually, when it's in a service phase, then it starts to bring you money. Well, the quality expectations are then different in supplier side than agreed in the contract. Then we notice that actually this ISO 27001 implementation hasn't even started. They do have the capability, but they are not it's not showing in our environment. And the thing is also that they are not taking into account security and privacy by design when they are actually configuring the systems. So the growing repair debt has started, and then the systems get misconfigured. And then the ones who were giving good customer references, oh, yeah, they are still getting good service. The other customers just happens to be bigger customers than you are and also paying more. Then you find a series of hiccups to find talented personnel, especially to key areas. It starts to reveal to you that they actually don't know that they don't know. As an example, security incident and event management service. You are expecting that that kind of a service, when they are actually scanning the events, and then they are finding the potential security incidents from there. So if they find like from thousands of events, they find like 15 potential that needs a closer look by the security experts. And then when you are asking from the supplier that, so what happens to these 15 potential security incidents? And the answer is that, yeah, so basically when if no one touches the tickets, they get closed within 48 hours. Great. So in which point you think this service is bringing any added value to us? So why the security experts who should be looking at these cases, why they are not actually getting these cases? Then the answer is like, yeah, it's kind of complex because they are using different system. They are using totally different ticketing system. Well, in some point of time when you get solved this first issue that the ticketing system, or at least they are getting those security incidents to their table, the next thing what happens is they don't know what to do with those. So they don't have actually, they don't know that they don't know. So actually you have met the B group. Their actually goal is to ramp up the services as quick as possible so they can continue the next projects. So none of them will stick out there anymore when it's in the service phase. So the quality, does it really matter? We clearly agreed in this contract, yes. The year after signing the agreement, what is the status? Quality and information security issues providing the service. Since someone actually approved the project delivery too early. It's good to remember that sometimes there are some internal objectives also that are focusing on quick delivery, and that actually backfires and badly, especially when we're talking about the service phase and the production phase. So then you noticed also that still the ISO 27001 doesn't apply to your environment. And if actually someone would be coming and auditing it in a kind of a old style, they would be showing beautiful documents and processes, how it works with the reference customer, not your environment. And then price is still tempting compared to the others. The quality and information security just doesn't exist. The key persons from the supplier you trained, you try to train them as well. They are changing to another customer or outside the company. You start training from the beginning. Every time when you get someone to the level the person needs to be, the person changes the company or the account. Then in the end, you conduct third-party security audit, what really has been implemented to raise your concern. And the supplier gets upset. Why do you come and audit us this way? You are auditing in a different way. You are not auditing based on ISO. We are auditing based on ISO, but we are actually checking what technically what really has been implemented. Nevertheless, you have met then the COD group. Their target is to keep service up and running with minimum cost. Okay, lessons learned. Okay, do not outsource problems. If your processes and environments I mean, if you do have already problems there and the maturity level is not in sufficient level, you should not actually outsource it, because you just like highlight your problems after that. Aim in contract negotiations to win-win situation. Both customer and the supplier must find the relationship valuable over the longer term. Agree, review, and approval procedures for project delivery and schedule them on time, and agree internally acceptance criteria, including the quality and information security. Please remember that do not become bottleneck yourself. Because like you need to be prepared also that you have then time to spend on this one to make it right. At least you should be ensuring residual risk approval then. Then if it's possible to confirm named resources in advance for the ramp-up project and production phase and agreed about it contractually, do it. But prepare for the surprises. You cannot keep all the resources anyways, because they can actually go to the other companies anyways. If you're being provided resources who are not capable of handling their role, you need to change the resource as soon as possible. Another thing what you should consider also, that perhaps it's time to reevaluate if the needed competence is even possible to be achieved with the chosen ones. The thing is also that there are other customers. How are you able to get those resources you need? So that's kind of a dilemma. I mean, there is capability, we know, based on the customer reference, but we are not getting those resources. So basically, of course, we cannot solve all these listed challenges by ourselves. This is not just a security issue. There are plenty of other issues in this list as well. So how to then communicate the risks clearly? You might have been hearing this quite several times. Don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. Of course, not every problem has an easy solution, and you actually might need a wide network to solve it. And of course, you need to ensure at least that the problem statement is clear. And if you want someone to take it seriously, clear risk statement helps as well. Well, in general, cheap is tempting and free even more. When we are looking at the shadow IT and the issues with one-sided contracts, where does it happen? Well, it happens because of the cloud. Cloud is beautiful. I vote for cloud for sure, with proper contracts. But there are also software as a service type of providers who are providing the services like with a few dollars per month. And then they say in their pages also that without security and without this and this. And those are kind of like a bit concerning ones, because like, first of all, the first concern is that if you don't have mutual agreement, they can actually any day decide whatever they want, what they are promising in their website. So that's actually not kind of a good approach, especially if you're talking about some sensitive or critical service. Of course, they can be good tools for sure. And of course, we are not able to negotiate always with the big ones neither in the way we would like to do that. But those companies like AWS, Microsoft, they actually are very transparent how they are doing and how they are ensuring the security for you, how they ensure respecting your privacy. So those are like then different. They are bringing it the visibility for you differently, and that's fine. But I'm talking about the smaller ones, unpredictable ones, the providers, which actually with those prices perhaps are aiming more or less, of course, that you will become as a product. Nevertheless, to create risk analysis, you actually might need friends from legal or sourcing department. Privacy experts are your friends as well, third-party auditors, and also friends might be also from your IT department. I modified a little bit this Dilbert cartoon. just to what normally happens is that in business there might be that I found so excellent tool to store all my risk management materials or whatever, and it's free. Can you imagine? It's free. So of course, congrats to you. The users are you, and the users who are using it are a product. And of course, then it's also interesting that quite often there comes also this that, but hey, but they specifically said in the web pages that they are taking security seriously. Yeah, they all do. Yeah, but if you don't have any contracts, so how do you ensure that? So basically, as mentioned, supplier actually can any day claim that they own your data, for example, and they can use it for any purposes they want. In privacy, they might be this day saying that we do not actually collect your personal data, but then in the end, the supplier can still collect your personal data and you end up breaking privacy law. Your customers will then end up being products, which has an impact to customer trust as well. So assuming if you are then whoever will be then the customers using the solution. And then IT department, they actually might have a existing solution to this need. So quite often the IT department is not consulted so often as they should be, because the best reasoning for you would be then to explain to the business user that, hey, that these are the risks if you would do it this way, but I actually do have a ready existing solution for you. So this is my recommendation for you to do. And I have to say that very rare people then would like to then kind of break the law and stuff. So it's quite powerful statement as well. We need to remember also that sometimes IT department is actually pushed to the corner in cost-wise, and they might be sometimes even considering these kind of cheaper options. But then we just need to support them, and then raise the risks and raise the risks in a correct level and ensure the understanding. So we would be then actually doing correct decisions. Okay, the case example I went through with the outsourcing case. So issues with the quality of the service. So of course, there is also the question that what is your negotiation power? I mean, if you are not the important customer, your negotiation power is quite low. And then, of course, then you need to actually really get the contract and read it through and ensure that what kind of clauses you could actually use from there, that you could at least financially have an impact to the level of and the quality of the service. Okay, and then of course, third-party audit provides always objective view. Don't do it yourself. Have a third-party one, so no one can blame you that you're just saying. And then please ensure that the executive summary is clear and it actually points out the actual risks. There are very good audit reports, but I haven't seen so good executive summaries. And of course, it requires also a lot of work from us CISOs as well. We should be actually giving input on that as well to make it like more to the business wise. So it would be more understandable for the business decision makers. And then of course, always approval of the risks is in correct level. It's also good to think twice when escalating up to the board of directors. Even though the situation looks desperate and extremely risky, this kind of an escalation might actually put pressure to wrong places. Just think about it when the board can be extremely helpful as well. So they actually might require the supplier to come and tell that why things are, what is your proposal, how to fix these things. So in that case, it's actually a very good thing. But unfortunately, what the supplier actually might do then, because they get so kind of stressed about the escalation. So when their top executives are then following the status, the pressure is for the people who should be getting something done. And if those people don't know what they are doing, so it's very terrible situation for them as well. And in the end, I mean, they all, of course, everyone wants to look good, and that's fine. But the thing is also that when they do have this pressure, so they try to close those findings as soon as possible, and at the same time, perhaps the ones who are pushing don't understand. It takes some time to fix them. So basically, consider. Timing is essential. It might be that it's not convenient timing also to change the supplier. So perhaps you need to, if your suggestion is that we should be changing supplier, you really need to think the timing, because and also options what there actually are. And then prefer escalating with the help of sourcing department directly to the supplier. So try to pressure through financial pressure. That is also something that's a good tool actually. That would be the first tool I would be using. And of course, if there is no win-win contract, you just need to accept the situation and do your best. And be prepared to support this supplier and follow up that the fixed status will be better, and hopefully the supplier also does have still some goodwill and also some knowledge that you can actually get it fixed. And one thing which is extremely important is, once again, that ensure that no one allows the supplier to bypass agreed approval process inside your company. Because the thing is also that because the pressure is there, they are trying to get those green as soon as possible. And then they are, of course, like they are talking nice stuff and then saying that, yeah, it's actually, there are only minor things left, so we can actually call it green already. No. So once again, if you look at things from distance, so everything looks very beautiful, but like when they are not, this is something you need to like seriously talk with your own company, that these kind of bypassings are not done, that there are clearly the persons who actually know, are those findings fixed or not. Well, what then do the board of directors expect? So as this previous example showed, bringing problems to the board without clear solution and roadmap is not a good idea. Also, too complex language will confuse them unnecessary. Use real life stories, what has happened to others. Don't scare them, but be realistic at the same time. Bad things really happens all the time there. So there are actually very good examples what might actually happen. And then ensure you will also remember to tell that what we have done to prevent the issue. And do not promise something that if you don't actually have a budget and resources, you cannot promise that you will do it, because you cannot promise it. You can say that you will try to prioritize and see if this would be possible to be prioritized as the first one, but be careful and don't speculate. Like if you don't have the budget or resources, but you don't know if it could be that you will get it. So don't speculate to the board that, yeah, let's see if we do have money. Follow the latest news on security. What are the generic warnings in the news on security? I think Ilta-Sanomat, Helsingin Sanomat, and TV and these kind of media, they actually do have this kind of latest warnings to the people. So be prepared to answer these questions also, and what we have done to prevent those happening, even though you don't, those might not be the biggest threats at the moment, but still, I mean, you don't look good if you, and it's not good to say that this is not important neither, Because if anyone is asking these questions that, hey, what about this one? I'm always happy to see the interest and the questions that, hey, yes, and then I would like to promote more those questions and encourage people to ask questions about security. And those are perfect questions, and we just need to be ready to answer to those. Please consider also carefully when the red color is really needed. Red color is very scary. If you do have too much of the red color, I mean, consider if it could be actually some other color, and then put the red color only the ones, kind of like choose your fights. So like think what is important and raise that as a red one, not all of them. So that's also something to keep in mind. Please remember to keep management boards informed as well. So do not ambush anyone. Start the message from the management board and confirm that they know what will be told to the board of directors. And the management boards, of course, they are responsible for the budgets and resourcing. And if there are issues in budgeting and resourcing, they should be informed clearly before board of directors if there are issues, because they actually might be part of that board as well, and they might be might be asked by the question immediately. And it's not nice if they didn't know about it beforehand. And it's not professional. And if you are asked to present something, then for the board of directors in short time, try to provide at least highlights or some sort of a heads up to the management board members. And this humble request also to the cybersecurity consultancy companies: if you are requested to present something to the board of directors or management boards, please inform the CISO as well, because we will get also a lot of questions after those kind of sessions. I'm more than happy to have those sessions, but I would like to know also about them, so I know to be prepared to questions with proper answers. Okay. So what do board of directors then expect? Well, remember that the board of directors is different in different companies. So some of them are expecting to see only the risk matrix. Some of them are expecting something else, or even more. In general, of course, they all expect from us to be clear, be transparent, show that you manage and control the entity, and then you need to show progress as well. And I think finding the suitable metrics to present the status is own interesting area. So if we are looking at these metrics, I think these are actually pretty good ones to describe the maturity level of the information security and cybersecurity in a board level. The thing is also that there happens a lot of stuff anyways, and there are some other operational metrics that are relevant in operational level. But in a board level, it should be something like this perhaps. But it's also good to remember that depending, there might have been some sort of, I mean, if you are a new person in a company, for example, so there could be actually so-called Potemkin reporting. So things are actually looking better than they really are. So there might have been some contractual changes that somebody forgot to ask from the supplier to provide certain metrics, or even do the patching, for example, and then, well, that's a quite operational level metric, but still, of course, if that doesn't happen, that will raise the risk level quite a lot if you don't patch your systems regularly. Then you might have also two positive insights. So if you actually have been conducting self-assessments are good, but of course you need to be careful. There are cultural differences also that might be actually leading to two positive results. Or also vice versa. Someone might be that this is definitely not in place, and even the auditor could be agreeing that that's enough. But that varies. That's quite that's better than to have a third-party audit, especially if you have just started in the company. So you should actually conduct a baseline audit as soon as possible with a third-party audit, and with the scope, what has been really implemented. Do not report neither green too early. The implementation takes time. I know it's painful. For example, like identity and access management area, that's huge area to implement in a corporate environment. And the thing is also that you just need to bring the visibility that it will take on time, and it will not be green for a while. And then excellent documentation and processes. Yeah, those, it's good that those are in place, but if nothing gets implemented, you really don't have anything against the criminals. Then remember, you never know what happens behind the scenes, and what are the priorities. So do not get upset if reported issues are not reacted upon immediately or as soon as you are expecting. So there are also always variables you're not aware of. Then about the metrics, so maturity level defines what is relevant or even possible to measure. So when we are talking about information security maturity level, it could be that your focus has been more on the safety side, and you actually don't have much to measure in the beginning in security side. Then you actually need to start from the risk management and information security improvement plan. And then you just need to gain the visibility as much as possible from different areas and different aspects. Baseline audit helps, as mentioned, but be careful how often do you then re-audit the status, because you need to give some time for the organization also to fix the issues and react upon them. And it also takes some time when you conduct the audit. Then gain also visibility through suppliers, don't forget them. It's good if you do have information security requirements already in place in the contracts with the suppliers. But of course, if you don't have yet, that's the first thing you need to then implement. But if there is, so there are quite often reporting requirements. So you might be easily getting certain visibility to see what is the security level of that service, what is provided by the supplier. And then implement tools to gain visibility. Detection capability, one of the very important aspects to know what happens in your environment really. And then also, please remember to communicate the targets clearly. Like in a safety world, for example, the target that there is 0 accidents, it's a good target, but in information security area, 0 security incidents is like just telling that you don't see anything what is happening in your environment. And when you have then this visibility a bit more, you start to need more resources, you need reaction capability, you need increase in awareness, you need to lead the change. So you need to really arrange role-based awareness trainings, and then role-based metrics, also implement role-based metrics to key roles. This is this kind of a 8-step change model by John Cotter. And the thing is also that I find this extremely useful because this illustrates quite well certain challenges in change management area. So first of all, when it starts from the create urgency part, I have to say that quite many board of directors and the management boards, they actually do agree that information security, cybersecurity is important. And the thing is also that, of course, you need to at the same time also remember that that the other people, they are not following what happens in this changed world, which changed quite a long time back already for us, but for them this is totally new thing. So we need to remember that that even though they are reading the basic news where they can actually read about those attempts to trick you, to give your passwords and stuff, they still don't know what would it mean to me in my company. So basically, it would be good that you will identify for the so-called powerful coalition. So of course you need the top management commitment, but also you need to have dedicated persons from different business units to spread the happy message of information security and the world has changed message. And then you need to also create vision for the change and then communicate the vision clearly in that in role-based point of view. Think what the superiors need to know about security. So it could be like you need to tell to the superiors that, hey, it's your responsibility to ensure that your people will go to the role-based awareness trainings. Simple as that. And of course, then for everyone, the target is that everyone would know how to avoid being tricked by criminals. Of course, you cannot prevent everything, but at least the basics. But what is actually the key thing where you actually see if the information security is prioritized is it's actually this empower action step. And there, when you actually are requesting time from these people and coming to the and as part of their role, they should be also getting things done. There you can see that something else gets actually prioritized, and then it's not your thing anymore. So that is actually something like where you need to actually use a lot of time to ensure the communication in a correct way, and also bringing up the risks that there are lying if you are not taking care of this one. So yeah, this is I'm not going through more on this one because I wanted to highlight the challenge of this empower action, because this is like no wonder that 70% of change programs fail because of employee resistance or lack of management support. And I would be saying that at the moment it seems to be that it comes in this step 5 at the moment. Then key target groups. This is just an example. These are quite normally in the companies, they do have sort of service product managers type of people responsible for the IT environments. Then there are also, of course, the management board superiors, project managers, developers, architects, and so on. And then, of course, other supporting units. Of course, every company does have also some other target groups as well. But the idea was just to give an example. So you need to ensure that your materials and your trainings are actually tailored to these different target groups. There are totally different needs for them to know to take care of their part of this security. And you need to be pushing the responsibility also to the correct places. It's kind of funny. I remember once upon a time I was actually responsible for time tracking system, ensuring that it was like that everyone should be recording their hours. And then one of the top executives asked me that, so Anne, what are you going to do to get the percentages up for people to fill in their hours? And my only question back to him was like, so no, actually the question is, what are you going to do about it? Because I can send how many messages like and reminders to people. End of the day, if the management is not committed, nothing happens. So my question is back to you, what are you going to do about it? So please be careful that people are not pushing wrong things to you. So push it back to the correct places. And then if we're also checking what kind of like reason why these are good target groups. So it's good to remember that the board of directors and management boards, they do have the budget, they do have the resourcing, and they are doing the final prioritization. We should not forget the superiors, because they are also, some of them, they do have also budget. They also are deciding on resourcing, and then they are also doing own individual level prioritization as superior. Then service product managers, they are doing their own prioritization, the service product. So quite often the business requirements are going further and quicker than security and privacy, perhaps. It depends, of course, on the models, what are there and what kind of structures they actually do have. Nevertheless, of course, project managers, developers, architects, they should be taking into account the security and privacy by design. So that's the target. That's why that's also extremely important. Then, of course, IT unit or business IT, it actually varies per company how this is arranged. There could be just one IT unit. And then some shadow IT, but there could be also dedicated business IT. So they actually do have a major impact to the whole organization basic capability to work. So that's the reason why you need to pay attention, of course, there as well. And then other supporting units, HR, finance, legal, they do have their own important role with specific risks. And then of course, there is a CISO and information security key network. We will then support all these roles in information security reporting and escalating. And it's important to have also the status and the objectives, and also follow up with the metrics. How does it go? And then show also the progress to the management board and board of directors, and do the escalation if the resourcing is enough, because the pain needs to go there who makes the decision of it. Okay, then a few things still left. Risk management in general, there are good processes in place concerning overall risk management. No, actually, the same doesn't apply to information and cybersecurity risks always. So there needs to be done the alignment with other business risks, and especially the scale. Sometimes information and cybersecurity risks has been like, for some reason, measured as own. And then sometimes they are taking to the business risk list, but then they are totally with a different kind of a scale, because if we are checking what kind of a scales there are coming from the reports, from the audit reports and so on, naturally there is not your own company risk appetite described with the numbers. So that is something you need to be very careful, that you are not like raising something too big compared to the other business risks. If there are several business risks which definitely, I mean, for example, that do you have money to run the company? So that is definitely bigger than any of our risks. Okay, and then risk management should be done in all levels. Because of course in corporate level there are like quite big sums before they think it's a considerable risk, but for the service or product, I mean, even smaller ones can actually stop the whole stop the whole service up and running. So we need to find this kind of different levels for this one as well. Then language should be aligned as well. So basically, when we are saying that, hey, vulnerable environment might lead to target attack, that's kind of a cyber risk or threat. But what is actually then the business risk is it actually might lead to interruption of operational functions, data leakage, brand damage. Of course, you will specify them based on the business, what we are talking there. But like, still is of course in a generic level, but like just to remind also that the way we communicate about the risks, we should always find the business aspect for it. So of course we need to find the balance. There are a lot of risk, and of course no one wants to invest to information security and cybersecurity more than the actual risk if it happens. And of course, there are situations that the risk just cannot be mitigated or mitigated at all. So we need to remember that we have done our job when the business risks emerging from information and cybersecurity are understood and approved in correct levels. So we should not be then like worrying about stuff that we don't have anything to have an impact for. And this is the balancing part. And in my point of view, I mean, I really, in my point of view, I really just want to ensure that they do understand then the risk they are taking, and that's totally fine for me, because you don't do business without risk management. You don't exist there. So and you don't do business by avoiding risks. But it's their part to do the decisions, and we are then supporting them in this, in as much as we can, and being clear as possible. Any questions or comments?
Thank you very much, Anne, for your talk. It was really nice one, and we have a lot of questions for you. So I'm already saying that we cannot go through all of them in this time, but I will pick most of them for this. So the first one is about your previous position at Sanoma and how it is compared to this one at FinTraffic. How different is to be CISO at FinTraffic compared to
That was
Sanoma?
wonderful question. Yes. Yeah, actually, it was so fascinating because in Sanoma, we had everything in cloud, almost everything. And it was the digitalization, of course, the media business was the first ones going to the digitalization phase. And then when going to the rail and then aviation and then the vessels and everything. So of course we do have a lot of this kind of we really do have also this kind of like cybersecurity aspects that we need to really think that the computer doesn't harm the human and the human doesn't harm the computer aspect. So we do have also preventive controls or even equipments that they are preventing, for example, accidents happening. So in that sense, I think this FinTraffic is a quite fascinating world also in information security and cybersecurity point of view.
All right, thank you very much. Then there's a question about the security standards. Do you have any opinions in other security standards like PCI DSS, FEPS, and so on? What do you think about them?
Okay, so basically, I like ISO 27001 because it's quite commonly used by different companies, and it's a good set of standard. And of course, 002 with the detailed, like the best practices implementation guide. But the PCI, of course, that's only for the credit card industry standard. So of course, you need to apply for that if you do have the credit card data. But quite often, I mean, it's with the limited scope for the companies. So quite often they have outsourced that certain part to the banks or other financial companies. So they don't need they only have the limited scope. Hopefully that answered the question.
I think it did at some level at least. Then there's a question about free lunches. What's your best estimate for the median cost of a free lunch?
There is no free lunches. So basically, let me give you an example. There is actually one supplier who is providing cloud services and was also providing an advanced shield on top of it. And this is not AWS. So, but it was providing this kind of protection. And first they said that no, we are not collecting your data, your customer data. And after a year, they started to collect it. So the shield was actually complement and for free. So there is no free products anywhere. There's no free lunches. So we should be always careful, and also trying to also communicate that to our business decision makers, that be careful out there, that there seriously is no free lunches.
All right, thank you very much. So, what do you think are the best arguments to make everyone understand the risks of shadow IT? The asker is having a difficult times to explain the risks.
I understand. Yeah. Yeah, perhaps I would be trying to get like examples of those shadow IT, and also like really understand what are they using, because then you can give real examples that, by the way, they are using this one, which means that they actually are claiming in their pages that they can any day change these contractor, because if there is no actually um, um, mutual agreement at all, that itself is a risk. And that could be also something which you could actually raise together with the legal sourcing department. And they also do have interest on this shadow IT. But yeah, perhaps you need to collect some more visibility, so then you do have better chance to also have even more arguments than just that this risk, that even though it's quite marketable risk, that you don't have mutual agreement. So quite often I do so that I actually ask directly from who actually has that kind of a service. Is that so? What happens like if the supplier tells you tomorrow that, by the way, I'm going to delete this data because I'm not providing this service anymore. Or, by the way, I'm going to steal this data because this belongs to me, not to you, because we don't have agreement. So with these kind of questions, they actually might be also understanding the point there.
Alrighty. Then a question about the business criticality of systems. So, have you been able to determine the business criticality of systems and services in your organization? If yes, how did you get the input from the responsible parties?
Oh, excellent question, because I forgot to tell you in this picture that when we actually did I was asking from the information security key network, the ones who were representatives of the different business units. So they made the first list of the prioritized services. And then I specifically asked them that you need to actually approve those, get the approval from the management boards. It needs to be official, because the thing is also that if you don't make it official that the management board decides what is important, then the decision making is in a wrong end. And in a worst case, someone's ego is actually driving that what is important in a company, what not. I've seen quite many people that they think that I'm important, my service is important, and that's not a good background for prioritization.
Yeah, thank you very much for the answer. One more question before we move on. Do you nod when you see some other CISOs? Do you have some kind of secret handshake or anything
No,
like that?
not that I'm aware of. So perhaps somebody's ignoring me then.
All right, but that was all. There is few questions more, and if you have time after this, it would be nice if you spend some time
Yeah.
on the Discord and answer them. But thank you very
Yes.
much, Anne, for coming to our event and having a talk here. We will continue with Teemu in few minutes.
Thank you.